welcome to Scrappin with Sheri. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be real sad when this sketchbook is finished and I have to start looking for page ideas to show you again. But today we are on page 27 in our book. Again, it's a single page, but I'm going to do it as a double spread. There's not a lot to do on this page necessarily. We've got one color block up here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that one doesn't really tell us the sizing, and that's okay. There's an inner color block that is 10.5 by 7, and then we've got all these little strips that are 5 by 1.5. So let me show you the papers I have chosen to go with the pictures I have. Now I chose this because I think it'll be good for the little stripes along the bottom because it's got a good contrast paper. These are from the Croptoberfest 2023 collection. These are still more pictures of our trip out west. And I chose this blue because I like the blue. I like the variations in here that kind of pull out the colors that I've got going on. And this paper is pretty, but I'm going to use it as the overall background behind everything. So this one will be my paper here. And again, it's got a good color contrast on the back that I can use for some of the stripes along the bottom. So let me make one page first, and then we'll go ahead and make the other one to match. And I'll just cut extras as I go. So our background page doesn't need to be cut. Remember, this big inner color right here is 10.5 by 7. So that's going to be this paper. And I'm going to cut it at the 10.5 by 7. Now, by doing a little simple math, if my page is 12, I only have to cut off 1.5 inches to have a 10.5. That saves me having to pull out my arm on my cutter. So I cut off 10.5 by cutting off 1.5. Hope that makes perfect sense. Then to make it 7, I only have to subtract 7 from 12 and I get 5. So if I cut this at 5, then I've got my 7-inch piece here. And that leaves me some smaller pieces to do my little stripes along the bottom of this page. Now let's go back to the sketch. And again, in pulling out paper colors, I was really looking at those blues this time. On the last page, I didn't use the blues. I went with the browns and the greens. But this page, I really liked all that blue sky in there, and I wanted to pull some blue. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. Got too much going on my workspace here. Let's adhere that, and it shows just a nice solid border all the way around basically. There is a little border stripe along the bottom that they show, a 3/4 inch. I'm just going to let the base page be that border. I'm not going to make a totally different border for that, I don't believe. We'll see when I get there and how badly I mess up my other little stripes, huh? All right, we're just going to kind of center that here. And then all of these little strips are 1.5 by 5. So let's pull out some of our paper colors and cut some of those. Now remember, I've got the background of this, and this piece I cut off was 1.5. So let's cut it at 5 and see what kind of spacing we're looking at. I'm just going to go ahead and cut a couple of these while I've got this trimmer out. And while I've got this particular color out. And, you know, my first thought is, oh, that doesn't fit. But they've slid them up underneath there. So they're not necessarily stopped at the bottom of this paper. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to slide them up under the edge of that. But let's cut some from the stripe. Now here my first thought was, which way do I want my stripe? I tend to do my stripes horizontally so you get a good cross section. Plus, I'm looking at these trees on the back, and I know I want them going upright. So a 1.5 inch strip of this. I'm going to cut a couple of these at least. Let's go ahead and do 3 or 4 while we've got our paper, because we know we can only get 2 stripes out of each color. And I'm going to make it into a 2-page spread in a few minutes. So, and we can cut all of these stripes at the same time to get our 5-inch height. if you had scrap pieces of paper, this would be a fantastic place to use them, because you're just needing the 5-inch height and you only need a 1.5 wide. So scraps would probably work extremely well for this. And I'm just going to build a pattern here. Now, you see the way, because this was all from Croptoberfest, the colors really coordinate nicely. There isn't really an orange in here, but there's a lighter tan that has an orangish tint. And these papers really bring that out, which I like because my pictures kind of have that tint too. Those rocks out there were kind of that color scheme. So this works really well for this out west trip. Whoever knew a Croptoberfest bundle would be so good for out west, huh? I need to cut me a little bit more of this. And that one is a little bit tall, but I can use it, so it's not a problem. All right, let's see where we are, and then we'll start sticking all these pieces. It looks like we need to go back with that one again. And that should end us up. All right. So a couple of different ways to stick this. Y'all know I'm pretty much an eyeballer, but if you're really concerned about getting this exactly even along the bottom, then your 12-inch ruler would be a great option. I feel like if I get my side lined up here, then the rest should just fall into place. We'll see how well that works. Okay, now I've got a little bit of an extra edge here, and I think that's just going to stay as is. I'm not real upset about that. I'm thinking my spacing along the bottom is pretty close to even. It may be just a touch off, but if it is, it's a hair, so I'm not going to worry about that. But let me go ahead and finish out this one pager. Then I will do the 2-page that coordinates with it off camera, so you won't have to watch all of that. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to make them exactly the same. Maybe I do need to do it on camera, just because my thought processes are going haywire right now. I'm thinking I may want to do something a little bit different. They show one vertical picture here, and then 2 smaller ones that are cut down here. I didn't really want to cut my pictures down, and I wanted to move this one to this side because it tells where we were at that particular time. But here again, because my pictures are already matted in the white, look how quick that is. I'm going to go ahead and stick these. You can see my tape is doing crazy things again this morning. And when I'm matting these, or mounting these onto this paper, I'm looking at the matting on the side. I'm kind of trying to keep that even-ish. It won't be exactly even, but that's kind of what I'm going for. It's just to make sure that blue shows equally all the way around. Now, do you see, we talked about picking colors. These colors are not exactly the colors in my photos. There is nothing really with this really dark blue in here, but it has the feel. It has the blues, it has the browns, it has the lighter blues. It gives me the feel of this page without being exactly matchy-matchy. Now, to finish this particular one out, they've done a stripe here with some embellishments, and I'm going to have to pick embellishments for this page. So I'm just going to slide this to the side real quick, pull this other one out, and just see where we're going with it. I guess I'll walk you through it real fast. So we're going to go back to our base page that we've got here. Remember, we're cutting this at 10.5 by 7. So we're cutting off 1.5. Then we're cutting off at 5 this direction. That gives me some great leftover paper for another page. We're going to add that to the top here, and I'm going to kind of butt these up against each other and try to line that up as closely as possible. Here again, if you need to measure that, that's fine. Use your 12-inch ruler and do that. And then we're going to go back and add our 1.5 by 5 pieces. Now, because this is a 2-page spread, my first thought is I don't want these to match. So I'm going to start over with my pattern here, just to keep it separated a little bit. And we'll just lay those down and see what we've got, what else I need to cut. That one's a little long, but it's okay. And you know, if you don't want to go back and cut them all you got to do is make sure that it's going to be underneath this right here. So you don't have to really worry about cutting them exactly right. You don't want to, you know, waste your paper or anything, but you don't have to worry about it being exact. So I need another piece of this cut. And again, those are 1.5. And this one's going to stick out the outside, so it does matter if it's 5 or not. But the others aren't going to really matter. So let me pop these down. We'll just speed this video up while I'm sticking these on, and then we'll go on with this page. Now, one thing you probably will notice here is the fact that this works so much better if you choose papers that you like both sides of. That gives you twice the bang for your buck, I guess is a good way to put it. Because these came off the same sheet of paper. This is the excess of this, and that helps tremendously when you're trying to figure out what patterns to use. Now here again, my layout is going to be very similar. I've got one tall one, and I like this because it actually showed that the moon was still out. We were there really early in the morning, and you could still see the moon, and then the mountains in the distance. So basically this one's going to be just a mirror image of this. Now if I wanted to, and this doesn't lend itself as well to my photos, I could turn this one sideways. If I had a lot of horizontal pictures, that would be a great place to put horizontals. But because of the orientation of my photos, I feel like this still works better to go this way for me. But don't be afraid to turn your sketches sideways. They need to go along with your pictures. And if you've got a lot of horizontal pictures and you need to flip that around, go right ahead. And then I do have a little journaling here. And because this is the first page of it, I think I'll put it over here. It just tells that we got up and out early and had time to stop and see all this pretty stuff. So I'm going to add that there where initially our sketch had an embellishment. I'm just going to put that on there. And y'all, we talk so much about embellishments, about stickers, about embellishment clusters, all this kind of stuff. Sometimes you just don't need it. Sometimes it just doesn't match. Don't make something work when it really doesn't, because these pictures really speak for themselves. And sometimes you can just get so busy, carried away with adding embellishments or stickers that you really lose your pictures. And I really kind of love my pictures. So I'm not tied into having any kind of embellishments on this page. Now, if you wonder how I did this journaling, I did that on my Epson PM400. There is a video way back in the archives that tells how I journal when I'm on vacation. So when I come home, all I have to do is screenshot that journaling from my notes, and then I print it as a photo on my PM400. That has saved me so much time and energy because my journaling is already complete before I even get to my pictures. And there we go. We've got another 2-page spread of this trip. This is page 27 in our sketchbook, and might add some embellishments, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to leave this one as is. I don't know. I keep looking at maybe I want to add a tab here. Let me grab a piece of paper and let's just try that and see if we like it. Now, I was looking because I still had this scrap left over from the page that we did last time, and it does bring all the tree colors in. So I think I'm going to cut it down to 1.5, which is what these strips are. I'm just going to cut that at 1.5, and we're just going to see what it looks like on there. Remember, it's paper. If we don't like it, we don't have to use it. And I think I will do that. Now what I'm going to do is use my tag punch. It's called 3-in-1 ribbon. This was a secret box exclusive. Now I'm looking at it. I don't like it. I think it's too busy against what I've got going on here. So that's not really my favorite look. I'm not going to put that tab on there. I don't really like that with it. So I'm going to leave it as is for now. I do think I would like a tab here. And when you see the final page, you may see a tab on there. But for now, these are my 2 pages from page 27. So until next time, happy scrapping.